We've all passed beneath these beams, drank from these cups, laughed too loud at tables that never ask questions. But this oak was here before the walls. And some nights, it remembers.
The road bends quiet where the marsh meets stone. The lantern swings like a throat half known. Air runs thick and the laughter's wide, but the floorboards creak like they're hiding pride. He wipes the counter with steady hands, knows every traveler's shifting plans, calls you friend in a tone so mild, like a man who buried something wild. But there's a mark on the beam above the bar, three shallow cuts where no tools are. No one asks, no one sees, but the wood still hums in minor keys. Under Wanderer's Oak we drink and lie, trade our sins for another try. Raise your cups to the firelight glow, some roots run deeper than we know. If the walls could speak they wouldn't shout, they'd whisper what we locked beneath and built around. A monk once sat in the corner seat, eyes on the grain at his sandaled feet. Lips once sealed by sacred vow, they trembled once and tremble now. He said no prayer, he named no God, but something stirred beneath the sod. The oak tree leaned as if to hear a word forbidden year by year. And when he spoke, just once too clear, the fire burned like it felt a fear. Under Wanderer's Oak we laugh too loud, drown old ghosts in ale and crowd. But silence cracks like winter stone when truth is carved in living bone. We swore it ended long ago, yet something breathes below. A winter came without his chain, no silver hum, no warning pain. He drank in quiet back to the wall, as if he heard what others don't recall. Monsters have patterns, someone said. He answered softly, so do the dead. But this was neither fang nor claw, it had no hunger that I saw. The oak tree groaned against the wind, the innkeeper did not look at long before the sign was hung, before the first tavern song was sung, three stood where the cellar lies, with smoking lungs and open eyes. Not blade, not flame, not holy brand, but blood and oath and mortal hand. They chose not death, they chose to bind, and left the truth in splintered mind. No scripture wrote what roots were fed, no chronicler inked what was never said. Under Wanderer's Oak we make our stand, on borrowed earth and borrowed land. If fire fades and beams collapse, what wakes below will not ask maps. So drink, my friends, while laughter floats. Some walls are built of living throats, and when the embers burn too thin, we'll know
was here before the inn. It will be hereafter. Another round. I was not meant to speak. That was the beauty of it. No lies, no truth, no blame. Silence makes clean men of cowards.
Shaved my head, named it grace, pressed cold vows against my face, said words are doors that lets in, so bolt them tight beneath the skin. I learned to bow, I learned to kneel, I learned how not to feel what I feel. Tongue like stone, breath like thread, living quieter than the dead. They call it holy, this narrowing of air, but silence can rot if no one dares. I swore no word would cross my teeth, buried fire 6 feet beneath, but something older than my fear rose the night we brought it here. If speech is sin, then let me fall, for silence almost killed us all. In righteous flames, certain we could cage a name. The witcher stood with empty chain. The innkeeper watched like he knew the rain. It did not roar, it did not plead, it did not hunger, it did not bleed. It simply was beneath the oak, older than oath, older than smoke. I felt it press against my mind. Not cruel, not kind, just fast. I swore no word would ever rise, no sound escaped these guarded lies. But when the roots began to shake and beams above us split and break, I broke before the binding could. I spoke the name I never should. They said a vow is iron chain. I learned it cuts when pulled in vain. 3 of us in cellar deep, no scripture there, no saints to keep. The oak above us bent and cried, something vast beneath replied. The witcher's blade stayed in its sheath, the innkeeper would not retreat, and I was meant to stay stone, but I chose breath. But vows can rot when left unpressed. If faith demands I look away while walls collapse and children pray, then let my tongue be marked with blame. I would still speak that name. I would still break the chain. They think I broke my vow that night. They do not know the vow was already broken by those who taught me not to speak another round.
You see a tavern, I see a line that never moves. Kings think thrones are heavy, they've never held a city at night.
And barrels stood before the oak was carved from wood. I wore a seal upon my chest, spoke once and others did the rest. Maps unfolded at my hand, borders shifted like dry sand. Men rode out at words I chose, and fields grew quiet under crows. A power does not roar or gleam, it whispers first. It calls it necessary. There's ash on my hands that water won't take, decisions made for mercy's sake. Not every war is fought with steel, some are signed and made to kneel. So drink beneath these rafters low, you laugh above what roots below. I built these walls where no one sees the price of what we chose to be. The monks arrived in linen white, the witcher came without his ride. No trembling chain, no silver cry, just stormlight in a watching eye. They asked me what the crown required, I asked them what the fight desired. The oak stood silent in the rain, even kings can smell the chain. If we had burned what stirred below, the city would not stand to know. So I chose a quieter blade, a binding made, not death display. There's ash on my hands from a war not fought, from something spared instead of caught. Call it treason, call it fear, call it why you're drinking here. Because that night we stayed our hands and wrote no truth in any lands. We swore no chronicler would say what nearly broke the world that day. You think I opened this in to hide your wrong? You're wrong, you're wrong. I built it here because it cannot move, because foundations remember, because wood can hold what stone cannot. The crown offered me return, a seat, a seal, a throne warmed by someone else's doubt. I chose a bar stool instead. beneath the earth, not seeking glory, not seeking worth. No holy light split the sky, no hero scream, no martyr's cry. We bounded not with fear or hate, but with something far more dangerous: choice. And choice leaves fingerprints. The monk broke silence. The Witcher stayed his blade, and I sign nothing. There's ash on my hands and it keeps me warm, a memory shaped like a coming storm. If fire dies and beams collapse, if roots uncoil from ancient maps, then know this was not coward's art. It was the heaviest kind of heart. And if it wakes beneath your feet, remember who refused to feed. I do not rework what we chose. I regret that we were right. Another round.
They say the chain trembles when death stands near. They don't tell you what it means when it doesn't. I've walked through marsh and narrow stone, tracked hunger that was not my own. Silver sings and iron bites, most things fear the lantern lights. But that night beneath the oak, no growl, no curse, no choking smoke, just breath below the cellar floor, like something thinking nothing more. I waited for the chain to shake, for instinct, for the old mistake. It lay still against my chest. When the chain fell silent, I understood. This was not fang, nor curse, nor blood. No pattern I was trained to know, no beast I could reduce to foe. If killing makes the monster clear, then what do you call what stands in fear? I sheathed the blade I always trust, and chose a harder kind of just. The monk was pale beneath his vow. The innkeeper would not ask how. The oak above us strained and bent, like roots were here in our intent. It did not beg, it did not roar, it did not scratch against the door. It pressed against the edge of thought. Older than the wars I fought. I've killed for less, I've killed for coin, I've killed to keep the lines aligned. But this was not that kind. When the chain fell silent, something changed. Not in it, in me, rearranged. If I had struck to ease the night, the town would drown in holy light. So let them whisper what I spared, let them call me unprepared. I've seen what steel can do to truth. It doesn't make it less uncouth. You want monsters simple, claws, teeth, red eyes in the dark. I've given you those, but this was not hunger. It was presence. Not wrong, not right, just awake. The monk broke first, spoke a name like opening a wound, and I did nothing. say I lost my edge. They say I've gone soft. No. I learned the cost. When the chain fell silent, I chose to see that not all darkness haunts like me. If the oak should crack and roots unwind, if fire thins and beams decline, remember this before you run. We spared what could not be undone, and if it wakes and takes its due, it will not start with me or you. The chain fell silent. So take God. So did I. So take God. So did I. So take God. So did I.
Stone below, oak above, no witnesses, only breath and something listening. I should have prayed, I should have burned, I should have named it sin. But it did not kneel before the light, it did not shrink from him. The roots were trembling through the floor like veins that touched a deeper shore. I felt it press against my mind, not cruel, not kind.
No tremor in the chain, no pattern to the air, no run beneath the scent of rain.
Just wait, I've hunted rage, I've hunted need. This had neither, only presence. Three stood where the cellar breeze, hands unsteady, drawn like sheaves. No crown, no scripture, no command, only choice in mortal hand. Bound by three beneath the oak, not by flame and not by smoke. Blood was given, oaths were torn, something nigh the damned or sworn. We chose the weight, we could not flee. We bound it there, it bound us three. They will call this mercy weak. They will say we failed to strike. They will never see the maps of what would burn if steel took life. I've moved borders with a seal. I watched cities break and kneel. This was heavier than war because this would not stay on paper. It was evil. Why did it not hunger?
If it was holy,
Why did it not bless?
if it was nothing,
Why does the oak remember? Bound by three in cellar stone, where no truth would stand alone. No hero carved, no anthem sung, no righteous blade, no poison tongue. We sealed it, not in death or plea. We sealed it in identity. I did not draw,
I did not forbid it.
the vow cracked first.
The oak bent down like it would kneel.
And something vast accepted terms, not of fear, but of restraint. It moved through
Have you noticed the mugs don't sit quite still? Have you noticed the beams hung after midnight? It's probably nothing. Smoke crawls sideways across the floor. Ella turns bitter without a cause. Dogs won't sleep by the cellar doors. The innkeeper laughs a shade too thin. The monk won't meet your eyes again. The witcher sits where shadows cling, like he's waiting for something to begin. No storm outside, no war at hand, yet the oak roots shift like they don't understand. If the oak should wake beneath our feet, will the rafters bow or will they retreat? We built our peace on borrowed ground, on soil where no confessions found. Laugh a little louder now, the roots are listening somehow. The traveler swore he heard it breathe, not like beast nor like the sea, not like wind in hollow stone, more like thought that's grown alone. Candles lean when no one walks, the grain splits soft along the bogs, and once, just once, the monk went pale when the cellar latch began to hail. They say it's age, they say it's wood, they say too much ale's never good, but something presses from below. If the oak should wake in splintered bark, if laughter dies and swallows talk, who stands first and who steps back? Who dares admit what we may lack? We swore the night would never rise, but silence thins beneath the lies. Keep pouring, keep the fire fed. The air feels thinner in my head. It's not a monster,
Then what is it?
it's remembering.
It knows our name.
So do I. That's not the same. Three cups cracked without a fall, a shadow stretched across the wall. No one moved, no one spoke. The fire leaned toward the oak. The monk's hands trembled at the rim. The witcher watched the light grow dim. The innkeeper closed the cellar door and locked it once, then twice more.
It does not
It is not quiet now.
Official report. Wanderers Oaken. Inspection complete. No irregularities observed. Nothing happened here.
I came with seals and folded writ, a quiet town, a place unfit for rumors thick as they describe strange unrest, unverified. The inn was warm, the ale was sound, no blood, no scorch upon the ground. The owner bowed with steady grace, no guilt betrayed within his face. And yet the beams above my head held something heavier than said. Nothing happened here, they swear, just wood and wine and winter air. Nothing bound beneath the floor, no whispered name, no hidden war. But silence moves when truth is near, and silence is loudest here. A monk sat pale beside the fire, eyes like ash of burnt desire. He flinched when cellar steps complained, as if some echo still remained. A witcher watched without a chain, no silver hum, no hunter strain. I asked him once if peace were near, he said not peace, and finished his beer. No claw marks on the outer wall, no broken door, no sign at all. Yet dogs refuse that patch of ground. Nothing happened here, they say. The oak just leads that crooked way. The floorboards shift from age and rain. The cellar latch is just a chain, but ink will not stay flat on page when truth is locked beneath the stage. I found no body, I found no grave, no priestly mark, no soldier brave. But under dust where barrels stood, 3 shallow cuts in ancient wood, not random, not decay. 3. And when I place my palm there slow, the grain was warm. In winter. As required, local fear unjustified, structure stable, trade intact, rumors lack substantial fact. But when I sealed it with the crown, the wax dripped thick and darker brown, and just before the seal grew hard, the oak outside leaned toward the yard. The innkeeper watched me sign, the monk would not look up. The witcher did not blink, they were not afraid of me. Nothing happened here, I wrote, no tremor felt, no hidden note, no pact beneath the root and beam, no name too vast for mortal scheme. If truth requires what I can't prove, then truth can wait, I choose to move.
was Oaken. Nothing happened here. I will not
By order of the crown, inspection escalated. Site to be opened, root structure to be cleared for the safety of the realm. They sent no soldiers, not at first, just ink and wax and careful words. A seal impressed in molten red that weighed more than the things unsaid. By royal interest, lawful claim, the oak is now the crown's domain. All structures subject to review. The innkeeper read it once and knew. Power does not kick the door. It buys the land beneath your floor. Seal of the crown in scarlet burn. They've come to see what will not turn. Not for mercy, not for peace, but for something they can lease. We buried truth in living ground. Now gold has heard the muffled sound. The monk held parchment with shaking hand, recognition in the brand. He knew the script, he knew the tone, the language carved in church and throne. The witcher spat into the flame, no beast obeys a royal name. The innkeeper did not reply, he'd seen how kings prefer to pry. They call it cleansing, they call it light, they call it what justifies the right. Seal of the crown on ancient bark, they want to drag it into dark. They think a vault can hold the vast, that chains of law are made to last. But some things wake when named as prize, and some truth rot in royal. I warned them once what lies below. You never told them what we know. They think this is a hunt to win. They've never stood where we have been. If they break the root, it breaks the town. It breaks more than that. Men arrived with tools, not blades. Surveyors first, then holy shades. They mark the oak with chalk and line, as if the roots obeyed design. The monk stepped forward, pale but firm. The witcher's eyes began to burn. The innkeeper spoke at last low. You do not understand what you dig below.
They came for wood and land and claim. They may leave with something more. They came for wood and land and claim. They may leave with something older.
It wasn't thunder, there were no clouds, just wood. Learning how to break. A second line, the oak did not protest, not loudly. But the air grew tight as iron bands around a living chest. The monk felt it first, a pressure behind his eyes. The witcher stood before the bark like facing something that never dies. You can scar the skin, but roots remember what lies within. When the roots split under loin blade, the earth did not scream its weight. Not rage, not fire, not beast unchained, but weight returning, long restrained. We bound it once in blood and breath, now it asks again, not for death. A tremor ran beneath the floor, not violent, just aware. Cups rang once against the bar, the monk fell to his knees in prayer. The witcher's hand went to his back, no chain, no silver call. The innkeeper closed the cellar door and leaned against the wall. It did not strike, it did not flee, it pressed like memory. When the roots split and the binding thinned, the air grew vast beneath our skin. No demon rose in smoke and flame. No crown could stake a rightful claim. It breathed through wood, it moved through stone, and each of us felt less our own. It knows the seal is broken.
Now it knows the crown has spoken.
It's not anger, it's imbalance.
What does it want?
Not want correction.
Correction of what?
Of us. its side. Sap ran dark like something cried. The monk reached out and touched the grain, not in fear, but in pain. The witcher stepped where roots were torn, no blade drawn, no sworn. The innkeeper whispered into bark, we chose to guard, we did not mark.
It does not punish, it does not bless.
It balances excess. When the roots split under mortal pride, something vast stepped just inside. Not free, not bound, not fully known, but closer now than flesh to bone. We cannot kill what does not hate, we cannot beg what does not wait. So if it rises past decree, so if it rises past decree, it will begin with memory. It will begin with memory. The oak did not fall, but it is no longer whole. The cellar did not break,
The sky did not open.
it was quieter than that. The crown men stepped where roots had torn, expecting rage, expecting storm. Torches high and papers drawn, ready to command the dawn. But nothing rose in flame or cry, no shadow clawed against the sky. Only pressure vast and slow, like truth beneath the undertow. It did not strike, it did not flee, it simply held a mirror to what it could see. What we feared was not below, not root, nor breath, nor ancient blow. What we feared, war, crown, and creed, war, iron seal, and righteous need. We bound the wrong thing in that stone, the greater danger was our own. The monk stepped forward, voice now clear. No demon dwells in darkness here. The witcher lowered empty hand. This is not what you command. The innkeeper faced the royal seal, saw hunger master's lawful seal. He'd seen it once in council halls, the need to own what never falls. Power fears what it can't define, it fears what will not kneel in line. What we feared was not its breath, not some waiting, crawling death. It was the will to take and claim, to cut a root and brand a name. The oak did not resist the blade, it resisted being displayed. It never hunted us,
It never cursed us,
it only answered force with weight.
struck firm.
We named it wrong,
We called it threat because we could not own it.
and beneath them, something vast but patient. their bones, not fear, but scale beyond their thrones. A presence older than their laws, unmoved by banners, unmoved by cause.
One torch fell to earth and floor, no one reached to lift it more, because for once they understood that not all power comes from blood.
The oak stood firm, the roots held fast. The danger was never the last. What we feared was us alone, our need to cage what can't be owned, to bind what breathes beyond decree, to silence what refuses be. We thought restraint was weakness shown, we thought control would make it known, but some things answer only trust, and some empires fall to dust. The crown withdrew, the two